what's going on? This is Scott Church. I'm going to do this as quick as possible just to be able to get back to the conversation we were just having. This is Scott Church alongside Obi Spencer, Brandon Kay, and Mr. JD Walker. And welcome to Spanglish World Network and the Sports Center on Zingo TV, channel 250 and 249. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app on the app stores of iOS and Android devices. When you download, make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are free. Don't forget that. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 forward. How are you guys doing? Let's get back to it.
That's that CSB education fine at work right there.
I used to actually go up, and I believe it or not, I used to chat with, and I actually learned a little bit from John Machida. He was the Micro Machine guy in the 90s. So I actually got practice with that guy. So, but irrespective of that, we got a lot of stuff to go to, and I really want to get back to the conversation we had just before this regarding North Carolina. So go ahead, Opie, right off the bat.
All right, so just so everyone knows, we were talking about rivalries, and would you rather lose to your rivalry and win the championship, or not win any games but against your rival? But with Duke and NC, Brandon, you brought up almost an impossible scenario. Your scenario was they were going to lose the 2 games to NC but win the championship, or the other way around. Except there's a third game, and that third game is the tournament, and you're not going to lose all 3 of those games and win the championship, because if you did, that means you didn't win the ACC tournament and you still won the championship. So that's a bizarre situation. But I have had that experience. I used to be a Cowboy fan back when the Cowboys' biggest rival was the Washington Redskins. That was their name back then, not the football team.
Now the football team. I don't call them the Commanders. I'm sorry.
The Commanders.
No.
And they went 1-15 one year. Troy Aikman's rookie year. They won 1 game that year. The only game they won that year was against the Redskins, who went on to win the Super Bowl. And although many people would look at that 1-15 season as a horrible season, it was the springboard to greatness, because the next year was the beginning of excellence. But it was such a fantastic season. Oh, we only won 1 game. We were so bad, but the team we beat was the team we most wanted to beat in any given season. I enjoyed that season as a fan. And if you're talking about a one-time situation, that's one thing. Now, if we're talking about multiple national championships and never beating the rival, well, then I think things might change in how you perceive that rivalry. But a one-off season, I think the rival sometimes is more important than winning a championship, especially for a team that wins. Wait, Scott, to you as a Yankee fan, if I told you this season the Red Sox are going to win the World Series, but you're going to win 12, 14 games against the Red Sox this year?
No.
Okay.
Listen, I will take it the other way around. Forgetting the drought that the Yankees have been on, the big goal is more important now. On the college level, I think it's a little different because you have these collegiate rivalries. I was there for the rivalry between Lehigh and Lafayette. Lafayette had a terrible season the year that I was there right before COVID. But you know what? They acted like they won the championship and won everything because their kicker kicked the game-winning field goal. They won 4 games the entire year. But none of that mattered because that game, they won it and they treated it like a championship. I get it. I think it's different from a college and pro level. I really do.
It definitely is because, I'm a Seton Hall guy, and the Seton Hall-Rutgers rivalry, while not at the level of Carolina Duke or Louisville, Kentucky, it's there. It really brings out the craziness in people. It's not near the level of Michigan, Ohio State is another huge one, where just the college rivalries, there's family members that don't talk to each other because of that.
Message from Eduardo, producer. Yeah. Michigan's fans will travel anywhere they can to see Michigan beat Ohio State. And him being a loyal Michigan guy, yeah, he probably would travel to Hawaii, Sri Lanka, Madagascar, Siberia.
Well, look, Michigan is the perfect example, especially this year. They got to the playoff. They got to the playoff. Even though they lost in the semis, lost badly, they still got the Ohio State monkey off their back, and that's bigger than winning a championship for them. Yes, a championship would be nice, but it's a very successful season by making the playoff and beating Ohio State to get there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, I get that there is a difference between pro and college, and let's even go back to pros. Let's go football. As a Jets fan, let's say we went it's 17. We went 15-2 and won the Super Bowl, but our only 2 losses were to the Patriots, regardless of how good or bad they are. I don't care. And if it were the other way around, where the Patriots went 15-2, win the Super Bowl, and their only 2 losses are to the Jets, I'm still bummed. I don't understand why we are trying to take more pleasure in a rival than a league championship. I mean, what are we talking about here?
It depends on if it's a team that regularly wins.
To me, it's the bigger goal, not the individual rivalry.
I think the Jets are a great, interesting example though, because the Jets. You have not won the championship in so long versus a Michigan or Ohio State or Duke in the NC or the Yankees, which is why I brought the Yankees.
Which is why I still wouldn't be happy if our only 2 wins of the season are against the Patriots. No.
Exactly, because you have been in the doldrums for so long. It's not a great rivalry where there's, especially NC and Duke.
So then I should treat those 2 wins as a championship.
Yeah. But, by the way, we haven't even started what we're going to talk about.
No.
With NCAA and MLB preview. My attitude is this, as a long-suffering Giants fan. If the Giants go 6-11 next year and win their both against the Cowboys, Washington, and Philadelphia, they still went 6-11 and missed a playoff spot. To me, I don't give 2 craps about the fact that they won. Basically, they swept their division. I don't care. It's about January, and when you're suffered for that long, and maybe, here's the thing. I mean, me personally, I went vocational out of high school, so I never had the experience, and that's probably part of it. I know, Brandon, I don't know about you, but I never really had the college experience to understand how emotional that can get. I mean, Seton Hall for you, JD, for Obi, I know it was Rutgers. I think I can understand how you guys get caught up in that a little differently than I would, because I never was there for 4 years. I never experienced that emotion. I mean, the most that we had was basically the rivalry with the nearby, town in football that eventually we merged with, and now it's all one football team anyway. But even then, it's like, it didn't really qualify like on a college level. So I can see why on a college perspective, they could see things differently, but it's just something I never personally experienced.
Look at
all I know is that
Rutgers message boards
JD
before they play, and you'll see just how insane it is on both.
No,
sides.
I don't doubt it. Yeah, I don't doubt it. And I mean, but you're in your case right now with what happened with North Carolina, they're more happy than dejected about that meltdown yesterday.
I think that they're dejected today, but once they I think once they think about it, once they have time to cool off, they'll say, you know what, we beat Duke and retired Coach K. This was a team that was wasn't even on track to make the tournament until early in February. People wanted to fire Hubert Davis halfway through the season, and then they get hot and go on and run the second half of the season and make it to the final as an 8th seed. And it was only that epic collapse that made them lose the championship. Which, while yes, that stings, and it was a historic collapse.
Yes, it does sting.
So it will absolutely sting, but also at the same time, Carolina has plenty of trophies to fall back on. They still have decades of history as a blue blood. So,
and arguably the greatest player of all time came out of there.
Yeah, and some of the greatest players in the history of the sport. You can trace the lineage of Carolina coaches and the Carolina family, if you will, directly back to the people that invented the game itself. It doesn't get much more. That's where the blue blood term comes from, because it's basketball is unique in the sense where there's direct lines throughout the sport that go right back to the people that invented the sport.
I think if you're a Carolina student, and this is, I think, where that whole rivalry goes, you're going to remember this year, you're going to be dejected now, but then when you are talking to other Carolina students, when you're an alum, and they're talking Carolina basketball, which, by the way, the interesting thing is Duke's losing its coach. Will it be a UCLA situation, or will they become a Carolina or a Kansas or a Kentucky? That's still to be determined. But if they do remain a good team, when you're talking as an alum, we'll be, we did not win the championship that year. I remember it was a horrible loss. But you know what we did do? We beat Duke twice, and we put Coach K out. And Coach K ended with under a 500 record against us as a rival. So that was a great year for us. So, and then because you remember that, because you do try to remember the good things, I feel like that is what you then root for over and over and over again. And it is different in pros. I think one of the main things is when you're on campus, I don't care. Big campus like Rutgers, you still know you're still in classes with those kids. You really are more of a member of a team than occasionally seeing some rich dude out drinking at a highfalutin bar, or maybe for whatever reason he's at the Walmart with you. You are in their classes. You spend day to day with everyone I know at Rutgers knew at least one kid on one of the big teams, let alone a fencer or a swimmer. So that camaraderie is bigger, which is what I think that Brandon and Scott aren't involved in much.
Yeah, and that's that's magnified even further at a smaller school like Seton Hall. So, I mean, yes, you get it at the big state schools, but you get it even more at the smaller schools, at the Big East schools. Villanova, Seton Hall, Butler, Gonzaga. Like you don't realize how small some of these powerhouse schools are. I mean, Duke, I think, has an enrollment, I want to say around 10,000 or so, versus, the big state schools that have, 40, 50,000 or more. So you don't realize just how, from my own personal experience of Seton Hall, it's a small campus where I live in the same dorm as the basketball players because there only were a few dorms on campus.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with Seton Hall in general. My God, your parking situation, to be fair, isn't great either.
Oh, don't get me started on that. I could go on for an entire show just on things like that, but we don't want to get too far off.
But yeah, congratulations. In this case, we're going to keep talking about this. But congratulations to Kansas on literally the biggest comeback in NCAA March Madness men's history. Congratulations also to JD because his significant other won the pool that we had, and of course, basically, happy SO. I can't, happy wife, happy life. I don't know what you can have on an SO on that. But go ahead.
It further proof that you don't need to know much or anything really about basketball in order to win your March Madness pool. Whatever
I don't
methodology.
know much.
Yeah,
I know.
Brandon and I were heading up the bottom just in front of Robin, and
I was 15.
Picked by
colors. I was one half away.
I guess Robin had like blue. He would have done much better.
Dude, I had it. They were up by 15. I'm like, all right, And then as soon as that second half started, I'm like, oh, this does not smell right. This does not look good at all. And then the injuries started to mount up.
No, you don't deserve to win the pool if you don't pick the champ anyway. So
It's a paper win, basically.
Nobody would have picked the champ if Carolina had won.
Yeah, right. But in this case here, congratulations to her. She earned that one, and that's credit where it's due. I'm okay-ish with second on that, but let's talk a little bit more about that. Because obviously this is the first championship that Kansas has had since 2008, so it's been a pretty long time coming for that group. Big for also, I believe, Ray Donovan as well. Ray Donovan is the Showtime show. I'm sorry, correct me on that one.
Are you going with Roy Williams, Billy Donovan, or Billy Donovan?
No, Roy Williams. I'm sorry. I just had this weird John Voight thing. Anyway, yeah, good moment for me. Good job, Scotty. You're awesome. But congratulations there, because in this case he was loyal to North Carolina more, but in this case, having coached both teams to incredible success. You sit there and you kind of be proud of both franchises. You have friends on both sides, and, again, congratulations all the way around with Kansas. Great comeback.
Yeah. And the way that the two schools are intertwined, like, Dean Smith played at Kansas for Fog Allen, and then he became the coach at Carolina. Roy Williams and Hubert Davis both, were mentored by Dean Smith. Mm-hmm. So so Williams went from Carolina to Kansas for his first head coaching job before coming back to Carolina. 15 years after spending 15 years at Kansas. So,
Mhm.
so just the two schools themselves are intertwined.
True. So, Brandon, anything on that?
Yeah, no, just between JD and I watching this game last night, it really was such an incredible game to watch. And we were saying the first half felt like Kansas Villanova, and the second half felt like Carolina Duke. So we kind of got the best of both worlds with Final Four weekend, with Championship Monday yesterday. Kansas, North Carolina both played their tails off, and it came down to a couple plays, or a shot goes here, a play goes differently here and there, and we could be having a whole nother conversation. But Kansas, with second half adjustments and the comeback, was something really to behold.
What
Yeah,
happens?
and McCormick had a fantastic game inside. Baycott was on track to be the MVP for Carolina. Having
100%.
20 rebounds in each of the previous two games, and then 15 rebounds last night before, unfortunately, rolling the ankle again, and
That looked
right
ugly
before
too.
the end of
Oof.
the game. That was hard to watch.
That was very painful. But if you look at North Carolina's numbers, they honestly were pretty atrocious from the field and also especially from 3-point land. So they had more shots, but there's just, a 31.5% from 2-point range and 21.7% from 3-point range. You're not going to be able to really get it done there with, numbers like that. And I can't say I'm particularly surprised, but they only managed 29 points in the entire second half.
Yeah, neither team was very good shooting. Carolina shot 31.5%. Kansas was 43.9%. Their numbers were similar to Carolina until they went on the tear in the second half. But after all that, it still wasn't really all that good on either side. The difference, and Carolina almost won that game from the line.
Mm-hmm. Any other final thoughts? This went a little faster than I expected to.
Yeah, just it was fantastic watching that. Seeing that great comeback. It looked like it was about to be a laugher, just like that Villanova Kansas game, and then Kansas flipped the switch. Brandon and I were saying watching the game, we said while we didn't expect them to really turn it on like they did in the Miami game, Kansas has done it earlier in the tournament, so they were certainly capable of it, and that is exactly what they went out and did.
True.
Yeah, it was an all-time game, and I was glad that we were able to cover it too here on Stream Punk.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the tournament as a whole was great too, because you had the Peacocks and had this just
Obi, I think we
taking everyone's attention, and then when the dust settled and you got to your Final Four, you had as star-studded of a Final Four as you possibly could have had. You got the first Final Four matchup between Duke and NC. We've talked about how big rivalries are. You had Villanova, Jay Wright keeping the Big East hopes alive, and then Kansas, one of the probably 5 major true blue bloods in college basketball. Standing. So it was wonderful. I think what they say, every team had at least 3 championships. The first time they've ever had anything that high. So you got the best of both worlds in this tournament. You got the underdog story that we all want. And then you got, and sometimes I think it's better. You got championship where there was many, many alumni from those schools and those schools' rivals who put their eyes on that championship. I think that makes for great storylines, and we got to enjoy it with a great game to end it all. So a great tournament overall. The women's tournament was great as well. Connecticut losing to South Carolina was wonderful. So, yeah, great stuff from the NCAA basketball this season.
Yeah, that was Gino's first loss in a championship game, and I was very surprised at how South Carolina led the women's championship wire to wire, and it was never really all that competitive. I think the closest, UConn would try and claw back, but I don't think they got any closer than 4 or 5, for most of the game. was very surprising to watch. But congratulations to South Carolina and Coach Dawn Staley.
Nice. So, all right. So basically, probably going to wrap up March Madness for another season at this point. We will definitely be back and talk about that in due time. Probably sooner, I think, rather than later. Because you know what? Schools are going to be starting again pretty soon.
Yep.
Only about 4 or 5 months until schools restart again.
And the best coach from March Madness is coming home.
Yep.
Shaheen Holloway and coming back to Seton Hall. That wasn't a press conference so much as it was, a coronation last week.
Dude, it wasn't really. It was barely, basically like a press release. I tried to
see standing ovations at press conferences very often.
Well, that's fair too. I mean, obviously, look what he did. But for him, what's really nice about it is the fact he doesn't have to change his address. How often do you have a coaching change this big, and it's like right down the road?
Right. When Kevin Willard left Seton Hall from Maryland a few weeks ago, and his big introduction, they made this whole big thing where he landed in a private jet on the tarmac, and they had cheerleaders and the Terrapin mascot all greeting him as he got off the plane, including a hilariously awkward hug between the mascot and Kevin Willard, who's a very introverted person. You could tell he was so uncomfortable with it, and it's just like, all right, I'm getting paid a lot of money to do this.
How long is this?
So just the joke was, Seton Hall doesn't even need to do anything with that. All you need to do is send an Uber Black to Jersey City, and then we're done.
Exactly. Well, I mean, save money. Honestly, just a regular Uber. One of the ride shares with like 4 or 5 people in it. Just. But
hey, it's a private school. They better get the Uber Black. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I don't know how much it is. It was.
JD paid a lot to go there. They can afford to send the coach an Uber Black.
Oh,
Seton Hall was $800 a credit when I used to actually be brought in to do with working with the students back then. So I don't know what it is now, but that was 2006. And
yeah, I was going to say that was what it cost when I went there. It's more now.
The inflation rate on colleges is like 5% every year. So
yeah, but they actually don't have the money to throw around, like not even relative to their peers in the Big East. They don't have that kind of money to throw around, and they don't have a bottomless pit of taxpayer dollars to tap into, like a lot of the big state schools do.
But you got that alumni money. You got the college students calling you to saying, give us money, give us money.
Yeah, and they do, but just the numbers that are out there the numbers that are out there with some of these schools and the money that they have to throw around. You see it in the coaching contracts. It's like night and day. But Holloway coming back to the Hall will bring out a lot of juice and hopefully increase the donation numbers where they can compete with the big boys. There's a practice facility in the works, which that's become, it's like a facilities arms race among the big college basketball teams. So Seton Hall is well positioned going forward. Let's hope that I made the comparison, like Willard was like the Doug Collins or the Mark Jackson who did a lot of the heavy lifting, coming up from rock bottom. Let's see if Shaheen Holloway can be the Phil Jackson or the Steve Kerr to really bring home the hardware.
And we'll find out about that in due time, and we'll definitely be doubling back to that opinion. For now, though, we are, by the way, just days away from the start of the Major League Baseball season. The Yankees start against the Red Sox on Thursday, 1:07 p.m. on that one. So we are going to be doing a breakdown on every single division, 10 words or less. So simple in this case. I, on the other hand, have decided on a whim, and I have no idea how I'm going to do this because that's usually how I do things. I put my foot in my mouth and figure it out later. I will be doing my predictions of each division in the alliterative form of haiku. Nihongo ite, nazeka shirimasen, yakyu ikuzo. So, there we go.
Yeah, for that, I took like literary freedoms and just kind of had an expression or phrase to kind of sum up their off season to potentially what's going to happen this season for each team.
Yeah, what's going to happen is we're going to hit each person individually on all 6. So what basically we'll start with, we're going to start with like the West and move East. We're all East people. We're all fans of the East. So I figured let's start AL West, NL, AL, and work that way. Starting with basically Brandon, since actually I think you're kind of gearing to go. Oh, go ahead.
Were we supposed to do 10 words on each division or each team?
Each. I mean, if you want to do each team, you can. But I was going to say
I did each team.
Yeah, you said team.
I did.
Okay.
I'll be
I didn't
winging
do
it with the
every
division
team,
numbers.
but I
I'll
did
be
it by
honest.
team.
I've been so stuck in March Madness mode. I've barely had time to read up much on baseball aside from a few minutes before the show to try and get
It's
ready
okay.
for this.
This team is
I'll try
very,
my
very,
best.
very, 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 very good. There you go. Boom. All right. In this case, basically, we're going to change this around. We're going to do each team basically no more than 10 words each. Brandon is raring to go. So in this case, let's start off with Brandon in the AL West. Let's start off with the Houston Astros. 10 words or less.
All right, the Astros. I think division is a little bit more competitive. Where am I thinking? I said maybe switch to recycling bins. I think they're going to have to make some adjustments. I think losing Correa. We'll see what Los Angeles with the Angels what they can do. Mariners, I think can make a push, but that's my recycling bins for the Astros.
All right. So does that cover the entire division? Because you covered 3 teams there.
No, I went through all of them. No, I went through all.
Okay.
I can go through. Yeah, let's go. We could
Did
do.
you mention Oakland?
Yeah, I was going to say
Yeah, I did.
Oakland.
Athletics. Yeah, I can go with them. I go. Show me the money. I mean, have they still spent? Yeah, have they still spent nothing on free agency yet? So that's them. The Angels. I put Angel in the outfield. I think we're finally going to see Trout relatively healthy, hopefully playing 150 plus games. So I think that, and then having Ohtani, I think the Angels can kind of make some noise. Rangers, Walker, Texas Rangers.
Mm-hmm.
They had a lot of pitching issues last year where they were a top 10 team in walks. Even in spring training this year, I know it's spring training, but still a top 10 team in walks. You bring in Seager, that's really your big move. So not really too high on the Rangers. And the Mariners, I said playoffs? You're talking playoffs? Like there's actually some talk with the Mariners to maybe sneak into a wild card spot. So a little Jim Mora there for the Mariners. So
Why
that's
not?
my AL West.
I mean, the Mariners and the Blue Jays both had a better record than the Braves last year. They just didn't make the playoffs because there was more talent in the American League. I know production was very upset about that, about the Blue Jays getting the short end of it there. And they're and the Blue Jays might win the AL East this year.
They could. We'll get to that definitely in due time. So next for you, I'll say, well, let's finish off the West and then we'll switch over to Obi in this case. The West for you, San Francisco Giants.
Giants, actually, the Giants are the only team I couldn't think of anything of. But now that I'm thinking about maybe just kind of maybe another even year magic, they had a tremendous regular season last year, able to come up short in the playoffs, come back this year, kind of reloaded. We could see what the Giants do in that division.
All right.
So then let's move to the Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
Darth Freeman is here, my lord. I think the evil empire that is the Dodgers just bringing over another just monster out, fielder bat in that lineup. So the Dodgers are going to be absolutely a problem. The Diamondbacks really didn't do anything but signed Melancon. So I just signed a snake in the grass. Nice. not much going on there other than that. And the Padres, take me to church, Padre. I think last year they had a lot of expectations and then a lot of things fall short towards the end of the season, have a tremendously talented pitching staff and lineup. So I think the Padres should be able to make some noise in the NL West this year. And that leaves me to the Rockies. Are you Rocky Mountain High? A little nice. John Denver for you. I'm not really sure what the Rockies are doing. I mean, you signed Chris Bryant to this contract, but I don't understand the intent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
all the Rockies are doing is pocketing they're one of the teams that pockets the revenue sharing money. And all of the worst of the ideas in the lockout were because from the owner's side, because the Rockies owner, Dan Montfort, was the one leading the negotiations from the owner's side for a while. So that shows you a lot of what you need to know about the Rockies organization and what a mess they are.
Fair.
Terrible.
All right. AL Central, Brandon, 10 words or less.
Oh, he's going to do his whole thing.
Yeah, we're going to let him do all 6, and then basically switch to you after that.
Okay.
All right, so let's start with the Tigers. I said apple of my tiger's eye. They have Spencer Torkelson, who's supposed to be the next man in Detroit. You sign Javi Baez. I think that's going to be a great double play combo. Miguel Cabrera in his final year. I'm excited to see that. The Guardians of the minor league galaxy. They have so many prospects that have made it to this 40-man roster.
This love of alliteration is great.
And yeah, I mean, 25% of that roster is prospects and kind of rookie first year guys. So not too high on them. The Royals, kind of same situation. But I said Lord of the World Series ring, Return of the King. You bring Zach Greinke back after all these years. Really, your only major move. Then for the Twins, I said identical or fraternal. Is this going to be kind of the same old Twins year, or with kind of you bring in Correa, and I think you're going to have a different Minnesota year. The White Sox, I love the White Sox in this division, and I put Southside Field of Dreams.
Nice.
I think they are a tremendous team that I think are going to be the favorite in that division. So that is my AL Central.
Yeah, the AL Central is just the White Sox and a bunch of tankers.
Sadly, yes. So
that is my Central. Yes. NL Central. Let's go Cubs here. Need to be Chicago Bears now. I mean, you've had a lot of young kids, some prospects and stuff, but you bring in Stroman, a veteran. I think they got to beef up the lineup, add a lot of veterans, both pitching and in the bullpen, the lineup and stuff like that. So that's really what I have on the Cubs. Pirates headed for Davy Jones' locker. Just another team that's kind of trying to push prospects maybe a year earlier than they're prepared for. So especially with that division, I think there are way better teams. So that's my Pirates. Reds, Cincinnati in the Reds. I mean, it's the same thing with the Athletics, where they're just unloading all of their guys, and I don't know really what they're spending money on. So that is my Reds expression here. For the Brewers, what else is Milwaukee brewing? We just saw Pedro Severino in his suspension for a PED use. We've seen Milwaukee have a history of PED use in recent years, so I still like them in that division. But
Ryan Braun throwing the FedEx guy under the bus.
For the Cardinals, I have MCU Multiverse 2006. Bringing Wainwright, or you had Wainwright, you're bringing Pujols back to kind of bring that three-headed monster back together for kind of one last ceremonial ride. So I still think, 2006 MCU Multiverse for the Cardinals, and that's my NL Central.
All right, and moving on to the East, and then we'll move over to Obi at that point. The AL East, go.
The NL East, we'll start with the Phillies. I said Phillies of the future. Little TV reference for you kids. I think they have they have a couple that are really prospects that they're really high on. When we talked to Mike Ventola a few weeks ago, so there's some nice players in the Phillies system that they're ready to bring up. You have Harper. I think the Phillies are going to be a sneaky big problem in this division. Marlins, I said in the mood for smooth jazz. This is a team that we forget are in our division a lot of times until we're playing them. They don't really have a lot of future, a lot of talent to move towards the future, except really just Jazz Chisholm. So that's really that. So I think as a Mets fan, having to watch them like 15 times a year, I'm just waiting for to see him. And let's move to the Nationals with this offseason, 1-year deals. They just signed a bunch of 1-year deals to kind of balance out this roster. We know that they trying to extend Soto, and we'll see what happens with that. Leading us to our defending World Series champ, the Braves. Acuna Matata, what a wonderful phrase. I think getting him back healthy this year will be a tremendous, tremendous pickup. You lose Freeman, but you're replacing him with Matt Olson, who pretty much is going to be the next man up, the next best step. So I really am afraid of the Braves in this division. Leading to my beloved Mets, finally a real bucking team. I think between manager Buck Showalter, you bring in Scherzer, Marte. Yeah, we have the traditional Mets nagging pitching injuries, but hopefully we can get that sorted out very, very early. and obviously go win a World Series. It's time.
Mhm.
So that's
And
my
lastly-
National League.
Well, 5 words for the Mets: spending Uncle Steve's money indiscriminately.
And lastly, the AL East.
Oh, right. For the Orioles, let's start with them. Kind of another young team, kind of leaning on the backs of prospects, pushed out of the nest in hopes to fly. I think they're really banking on these prospects to kind of bring them into this next era of Orioles baseball. But I don't think they're really going to do too much this year. The Rays, a dangerous team in that division. A lot of people like them. Tampa's feeling the wanderlust, bringing Wander Franco up to round out that great team they have in Tampa, to bring him full time as a major leaguer. I like that team a lot. Red Sox, knocking their socks off. I think a lot of these, I like what the Red Sox are doing. It's kind of a traditional Red Sox off season, but I think a lot of these, the Yankees, Blue Jays, and Reds are really going to try and knock them off as a top contender in that division. Blue Jays may cause an international crisis. I mean, that team is a phenomenal team. I am so high on Bichette and Guerrero and those two there in Toronto. Bring in a couple other nice guys. You have Simeon, who's a tremendous infielder. So I really love this Tampa, this Toronto team. Where am I losing my thoughts here? And that leaves us with your Yankees. All rise for a real judge. I want to hear what's in this letter. I want it all laid out on the table. And that rounds out my insanely great or corny MLB division summation.
Nice.
So.
All right, moving over to Obi, who's impatient like a saint over there.
All right, I apologize. I am actually leaving teams out in the interest of time, and we'll start with the West and I'll work my way across. So AL West, Seattle Mariners. The luck will run out back to just 500. Los Angeles, show me the trout. Renfroe stays healthy. They added pitching. They're going to playoffs. Houston Astros, everybody cheats, but not everybody wins. Astros are winners. Oakland Athletics, you get a player. Everybody gets a player. Now to the West, LA Dodgers, 5 seasons, 451 wins. I personally love Freddie Freeman. San Diego, they weren't what we thought they were. Tatis has a motorcycle accident. San Francisco, from 107 wins to an over-under of only 84.5 wins. We miss you, Buster Posey. National League Central, Brewers, speed, defense, strong bullpen, dominant rotation. Can they hit? Cardinals, is Pujols a player or a prop? Cubs, best net WAR this offseason, a whole new team. Pirates, the more things change, the more they stay the same. White Sox will overcome losing Rodon, continue to be entertaining and good. Sorry, we're already on the AL Central. I'm not announcing as I'm changing. I apologize.
Okay.
The Twins, signing Carlos Carrera. Thanks, Yankees, for Sanchez and taking Donaldson. Guardians, new name, young players, not their year. The AL East, New York Yankees, Bronx Bombers, defense. Blue Jays, Guerrero chasing the Triple Crown, the team chasing the World Series. Red Sox, lost Hunter Renfroe. Did he go to the Raiders? Still a wild card team.
Wrong Renfroe.
I know. New York Mets in the NL East have an ace bandage hidden up their sleeve. Atlanta won the series and Acuna is back. Phillies, acting like a big market team. Harper, Schwarber, Castellanos, and Real Matu. That is it. That's the teams I covered. I hope I was quick, gave you, Scott, time for your haikus.
Oh, God. And now apparently I had it, it sort of had this planned in my head where I was going to do these haikus for like each division. But now the fact that you guys have done every single team, I'm going to have to try and come up with something on my own here.
Well,
I think it might have been just a miscommunication.
No, it's okay.
I think divisions would have been better for each of us because this is a bit of just reading things over and over and over. It gets a little long. Ask JD. He's barely holding on by a thread right now.
You're right there, man. So, well, I'll tell you what. How about this? What do you want me to do?
Let's go with the division haikus. Mhm.
All right, division haiku. We'll start with the NL West. Or I'm sorry, no, we'll start with the. All right, divisional haiku and predictions, starting with the AL West. Houston Astros now. It's Dusty Baker's time now. World Series win.
Now.
No, just that's 5.
Oh yeah, we forgot the syllables. Yeah.
Yeah, 575.
Yeah, 575.
No.
Yeah.
NL West. Dodgers spend money. Jeff Bezos be like, hot damn. You guys spend some coin. All right, the Central. Twins have Sanchez now. That dude is going to rake. Thank you, dumb Yankees. Central Division. Pujols is back now. With St. Louis, it is good. What's old is new now. God, this is hard. Oh my God, this is brutally tough. All right, the AL East. Yankees in 4th place. Shell of what that team could be. Aaron Judge last year. And for the East, the NL East, the New York Mets now. You said it's their bucking time. Mets will not Met here.
Okay.
Oh my God! Now I need a nap after that. Oh my God, that is so. Here's the thing: I was looking at like the NL at the standings. I have no idea what you guys were looking at. I have no idea. I was sitting there looking at this and thinking, how the hell am I going to pull this out?
I had a whole list of all my things written out. I was dedicated to this.
I didn't have time to put that kind of research in. Kudos to you today. Kudos to you guys.
If you wanted to Leslie Note this whole thing, that's understandable. But I mean, I almost feel like basically Brandon had like a 4-hour diatribe.
I just understood the assignment in that fashion.
So
I was like, you know what? Let's just go for it. And you know what? I think it's also part of my OCD too, where I needed to make sure that I had all the teams covered, and it was all I really went down the rabbit hole with this one.
Yeah,
Brandon,
I'm had some competition.
I read the assignment as 13, Brandon, as well. Mine was written as well. I did not cover every team because I figured, I don't know them all, and most of these bits run long, especially since I thought each of us was covering 30 teams. But JD obviously has a life, so good for him. And Scott ad-libbed a bunch of haikus. I mean, I'm going to be impressed with pulling up a bunch of haikus, even if your favorite word is now, here, now.
I used so many filler words at the end of it. By the way, yes, I'm wearing an Orioles shirt today. I just want to point that out. I was
going to say, I mean, are we sticking with baseball? Because there's something very exciting happening in a less popular sport, but still a major sport this weekend that I think we need to just touch on it for just a minute. Tiger Woods is going to play this weekend.
That is
phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. What?
The odds for him. Woo! I might throw a couple shekels on that, not going to lie.
Yeah. I mean, I saw him practicing today. He is bigger, and I mean muscularly, than he was when he got hurt. I don't know what rehab he was doing, but his back through his shirt, like I don't understand why. Like female golfers wear shorts or skirts, and you can see what their legs look like, and they look like. I mean, these women are strong women. I don't know why men golfers don't wear shorts. I don't know why they don't wear muscle shirts, because some of these guys are just huge. And Tiger Woods is
Bryson DeChambeau looks like he could just crush half the other golfers in the field. crack their head open like a walnut in his biceps.
Plus, I want to see Phil's calves every week. I want to see them. Those chiseled calves, man. Make our golf was where
Is Phil even
shorts.
playing in the Masters this week? I didn't think he was.
No.
Well, he's been having. There's issues with him.
Yeah, he had all that Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, I don't think he's there.
Yeah.
No, he is not there. He may be at the PGA Championship, but he's not at the Masters. So the Tigers coming back. I was very excited. I just want to make sure we said something about that, which is why I brought my hardly used clubs in, just to make sure I had the right.
But the hardly used clubs look fantastic right back there. They really do.
Yeah, that's because they're clean.
So, all right.
So I do use my dad's clubs from 40 years ago on the occasions that I do go to the driving range. I don't play enough to justify that kind of investment.
I picked
not
up
nearly good enough.
I've picked up a driver and a putter since I've picked up golf, but my whole bag and the golf bag, but all the clubs and stuff I adopted from my parents or my dad specifically, I guess.
I thought I was going to play, and so I was playing and I bought clubs, and then I realized that I like watching golf a lot more than I like playing golf.
Mm-hmm.
Top golf is cool, but you don't need your.
I was just going to say, Obi, I would check out Top Golf. I've been meaning to do that. I just don't. I need to find somebody to go with.
No, Top Golf is a very good time. Get yourself, and it's outdoors. So if you're a masker, it's an activity you'll probably still be comfortable with.
And now that obviously it's getting warmer, the weather's getting warmer now too. It's starting to become golf season up here. Golf season in Florida is pretty much 12 months out of the year. I spent a couple of years working for the U.S. Golf Association, so I kind of saw how the schedule was. Mm-hmm. And then come right down to this time of year, this is when it starts to get bad because now all the clubs are starting to open up again, and every single one of them has problems. So, all right. So we got about 5 to 7 minutes left. We're actually surprisingly a little bit early on this. So what I'm going to do is basically going to turn this around a little bit. I'm going to fire off some quick questions in the direction of basically JD first, because he's been pretty much patient right now. Switching over to Obi when then Brandon comes back. Right now, my first question to you, straight up off the cuff, is who do you see right now winning the NBA Finals?
I would say probably that's a good one since I haven't. I'm still getting caught up on the NBA. I think the Sixers come out of the East, but I think Phoenix threw it away.
Look at Obi's smile or to the beard there.
I'm thinking Phoenix. Mm-hmm. They've been, after losing in the finals last year, they've been just methodically taking apart and quietly taking apart the West. Especially while everybody watches the dumpster fire in LA, with the Lakers, while everybody's paying attention to that, Phoenix has been quietly just dominating everybody. And there's been more attention paid to the Warriors, who were right up there as well. But Phoenix Phoenix looks like a team that was very motivated by losing in the finals last year, and they want to come back and give it another shot. And I think they have the best shot to come out of the West.
Obi, how about you, sir?
I agree on his overall prediction. Like, the question was, who do you think is going to win it? If the team I most expect to win it is Phoenix, don't get me wrong, a healthy Warriors team could certainly challenge them. Any of the big three teams in the East, let's go for it, because the Celtics, I think, are for real, although they just lost, what's his name, Walker in the middle. But I think any of the teams that could come out of the East, be it the Nets, now that Kyrie can play, the Sixers, Giannis, and the Celtics could challenge them. But right now, Phoenix seems to be the most complete team, the least injured team, the team with the biggest chip on their shoulder. I like everything about Phoenix. The only reason I don't think Phoenix will win is because Jason Kidd can't seem to complete an entire playoff run for his life. So that is my concern with Phoenix. But yeah, my 10 cents would be on Phoenix if you made me place a bet today.
All right. At this point now, basically, we're going to switch this over to the NFL. Bruce Arians has left Tampa. Right now, Gronkowski's future down there is in question. Edelman is now basically signed there. What happens with, Tom Brady's a little bit of flux right now. He's in, he's out, he's up, he's down. He's in, he's out. What do you think happens in Tampa Bay next year? And also additionally, what do you think happens with, the NFC East as well? Obi, I'll start with you, sir.
The NFC East, I mean, you tell me you have a quarterback that's better than Dakota Prescott? I don't think you do. I just think the NFC East is Cowboys' division to lose. I know that the team had to be trimmed down a little bit, but I still think Micah Parsons has the potential to be LT-ish, and an LT on your defense makes up for a lot of other problems. And Dakota, I think, with CeeDee Lamb, is going to make a passing offense that is more than formidable for the rest of that division. Tampa Bay, they don't really have to play against anybody, so Tom Brady being there, Tom Brady, I am not the biggest Tom Brady fan. I think Tom Brady has definitively fallen off. Last year, everyone said, his wide receivers got hurt, but Tom Brady has won Super Bowls with me playing wide receiver. So I don't know if he's the same guy, but I don't see anyone else in that division. Look, the NFC is the cakewalk division. We say that now, which definitely means that the AFC West is going to lose all 3 of the 4 quarterbacks. Only one team's going to be good out there. And I don't know, the North in the NFC is all going to play like studs. Fields going to figure it out, whatever, because that's what's going to happen. But that's not what I'm going to predict. So I think, Green Bay should go ahead and come out of that division overall, but Tampa should win their division. Sorry, Green Bay the conference. And JD, your thoughts?
I think that the Packers. I love the meme that State Farm doesn't help you from losing your wide receivers, where both Mahomes and Rodgers got paid and then immediately lost their number 1 wide receivers because you couldn't pay them all. With the Chiefs, trading Hill to Miami and Devontae Adams going from the Packers to the Raiders. So the NFC, the NFC East is Dallas by default, as far as I'm concerned. Although Philly, I think, could make a run. They were kind of ahead of schedule, making the playoffs last year in what everybody thought was going to be a rebuilding year, but they played better towards the end of the season. They might have something with Hurts, but the Giants and Washington are just still clown shows. So
the Giants have Tyrod Taylor. I've always felt that he deserved a better rap than he got.
He does, but just unfortunately, I don't think the other thing with Tyrod Taylor is that he gets hurt all the time, and I don't see the Giants line protecting him. Poor guy.
We'll see what happens with the draft. I mean, they're going to go hardcore. Joe Schoen's going to go hardcore on the offensive line, I think. We have 2 minutes left. We'll talk about that probably when we get closer to the draft.
Yeah. But I mean, I guess I'll take a minute for the AFC East. Buffalo, much like how Phoenix was going on the warpath in the NBA, I see Buffalo doing the same thing next year after losing to Kansas City in the playoffs the way they did. I think that they're just going to demolish their division. The Patriots might split with them, but Miami and the Jets have really nothing to compare.
Yeah. Well, we got to wrap it up, but I do want to come back to this, like I said, come draft time. Next week, I will be breaking things down a little bit with the onset and the beginning of the USFL, because that has come back again. So my USFL cups are going to be coming out. I've got some other USFL merchandise and memorabilia and props and all this kind of stuff. Cleaning out my in-laws' basement. Found a lot of cool USFL stuff, so I'm going to bring that out next week. But in the meantime, I'm going to wrap this up here. Thank you for Brandon, who had to pop off. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, JD. I appreciate it. 7 o'clock tonight, we have, of course, Tales from the Film Set, where we're going to be breaking down, the worst, basically, decisions that we've ever made in the film industry, and the worst decisions some of the actors have made, and basically the most famous roles they did that, by God, they regret. Simply put, for starters, Carrie Fisher, Star Wars. So, covering that a little bit later tonight. As for now, I'm Scott. That's Obi. That's JD, and Brandon somewhere. Who knows where that guy is? But thank you to him as well. And thank you to basically everybody. Thank you, Eduardo, for taking care of everybody. Stay awesome.